Oh my God, Canada, there's zombies everywhere! And they all vote Liberal. Good morning, this is Toad Logs on the morning show, and it's been going around everywhere that the Liberal Party is dead. Now, we don't know for sure yet if the Liberal Party is dead, but it sure looks like they may be. And this has happened before in Canada because the Progressive Conservative Party also died, and they came back to life as the new Conservative Party. So what happened with the Progressive Conservatives? Well, they got to the point where they were so corrupt that they kept slapping people in the face, and the people had it. So they started a whole new party called the Reform Party, which was going to reform government. And they were going to promote, good, clean family values. Well, corporations would have none of that. So the Reform Party was labeled as a bunch of racists, and they were labeled as extremists, and they were labeled as this and that and everything else. And the Reform Party was basically, even though they were a good chunk of conservatives in Canada, they were basically killed in the papers every single day. So what did they try to do? They tried to form a coalition by joining the NDP and the Bloc Party and the Reform Party and the old Conservative Party together to try to outdo the Liberal Party, because together they had more votes than the Liberals. Even though they didn't have enough seats to take over the government, they were pushing to take over the next election. So they formed what was called an alliance party. None of the other parties were having it, so it was just basically a name change. And they kind of got rid of anybody they considered to be too non-corporatist. But that still wasn't enough. So anyways, what ended up happening was the old Conservative Party, which could not get any ground anywhere, ended up buying, pretty much, the new Conservative Party, and they changed their name to just the Conservatives. So it's really just a dead zombie party renamed. All of the same corrupt people are behind the scenes, and we got no reform whatsoever. Now, is the same thing happening with the Liberals? Because the Liberals got just slaughtered in the last election because everybody voted for the NDP because they're sick of this Canadian bullshit politics. And that's what's happening in Canada. We've got bullshit politics. We've got the Conservative Party of Canada and the Liberal Party of Canada, who are supposed to be the opposite ends of the spectrum. But the truth is, they're both somewhere over here being, both right-wing corporatist parties. They're not conservative. They're not liberal. They're corporatists. Meaning that they do not do anything whatsoever for the people unless you pay them. And people who would argue that they weren't being paid, come on. One of them got caught accepting a bag full of money, paper bag full of money. Both the Liberal and the Conservative Party are just bought. They're bought and paid for, and that's the problem. Now, what is going to happen with the Liberal Party completely depends on the NDP. Will the NDP be, as they're accused, of being a spend-crazy, too immature to be the official opposition? Will they be bought out by corporations? Or will they actually represent the people? They've got, 4 or 5 years to work that out. And I've heard arguments that, there's a bunch of kids on there and blah, blah, blah. You know what? The government is run by civil servants. The actual elected people basically only have to vote and not vote and campaign and blah, blah, blah. They don't actually run the government. They just steer the ship, as you would say. So, I don't care how inexperienced they are. The government runs itself. Now, will they probably say a bunch of stupid things because they're inexperienced? Yeah, they could. Let's hope that they learn to keep their mouth shut when they should and think about what they say before they say it. But in Canada, saying something stupid isn't necessarily a death threat in politics. We've got a lot of politicians that have said some stupid things and got away with it. So, I think they've got a lot of breathing room if they just are careful what they say. The question is, will they represent the people? Will they represent the people of Canada? Because the people of Canada right now are watching. And if the NDP actually represents the working class person, the person who out there, you know, with a job, not sitting in some ivory tower, but somebody out there with a job who actually brings home a paycheck, not collects dividends and stuff like that, and that's their most of their income. So I would like to think that the NDP could do that. But you know what? They're politicians. So I expect they'll be just as corrupt and they'll be easily bought. And we'll end up with, either the Liberal Party coming back or the NDP and Liberal will form into a new party. Maybe the New Liberals. And I know this is going to kill my good friend for a voice of moderation. So I have to say, Stephen Harper is just a progressive conservative with a new skin. And the Liberal Party, Michael and Nadia, is probably going to be the same. Or, of course, he might just go back to France. Hey, press the subscribe button. It's easy.